Hi, everyone. Welcome to SNB Podcast. I'm your host, John Sinclair. Today's topic is a leadership series conversation, Thriving with AI. Uh, in the studio today with my good friend, Navindra Prem. He's a senior executive, my former client who became friend and someone I look up to. Welcome, Navindra.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. Again, it's been
Yeah,
too long, man.
it has been. It has been. As a matter of fact, I was getting rusty, and I said to myself, "Who can I bring that's going to be kind enough to not make fun of me? At the same time, will be able to elevate the conversation." So I couldn't think of anyone else but you.
I love it. Awesome.
All right, pal. So listen. So topic today is thriving with AI, right?
Yeah.
It is a topic. We both are industry practitioners. We've been doing this for quite some time. Um, so I'd like to break this podcast up today in the three small chapters, right? Call the first one as introduction and observation. So, you have been doing this for quite some time, and you're a senior executive. You are working with a lot of C-suite customers across multiple industry verticals, and so am I. But I'd like to hear your thoughts, your observation. What do you think is happening in the AI? Let's talk about the hype. Let's talk about what's the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's get started.
Yeah. So, look, AI is certainly a catalyst for change. We go through these technological revolutions every 10 years or so, big ones, and this is the next one. And so, AI is going to take the human potential to a whole nother level in terms of our ability to be much more efficient and creative. Businesses I see are embracing the technology. I think they have to embrace it because competitors are doing so. And so to remain competitive, you need to be in the game. But most executives, most companies, we're all revenue driven at the end of the day. And we're not seeing it monetize yet, right? Like certainly there's efficiencies that you gain that can help from a bottom line perspective. And certainly there's much more levels of sophistication that can come into experiences for customers and employees. But I think most companies are struggling with how do I make money off this thing? And the investment is huge to be a part of this. So there's certainly a huge demand and there's a finite supply. And there's all kinds of things that need to be in place for this to be truly, truly successful, whether it be power grids to support the power consumption, the data centers that are needed to house this. Um, but every one of my execs that I work with are trying to understand how do I make money? How do I answer to my shareholders and my board that this is actually something that's helping us from a revenue perspective?
No, this is terrific. It kind of resonates and aligns with what my observation has been. So I was fortunate enough. I was invited to give a keynote speech for a GDS CIO summit early this year at Dallas. And there was approximately about 71, 72 CIOs from across different industry verticals. And after my session was over, I was able to have a roundtable. And the two things that came out from that conversation is really surprised me. The first one was, which was kind of expected. They said they're all doing something with AI,
Yeah.
whether it's a POC, whether it's a full blown application, and embedding some solutions, whether we're trying to create some product. And then the next piece that I heard that they're all concerned, just what you said, that they're not seeing the result, the outcome. Efficiency, absolutely, they're seeing that, no doubt about it. They're definitely seeing a higher quality of productivity,
Yeah.
perhaps even lesser reliance on external third-party consulting companies, right? But they're not seeing the business result what they were expecting with AI. So that is definitely a cause of concern, right? There's tremendous potential, but you could also see there is a lot of hesitancy. And hesitancy is driven from multiple ways it's coming from. So one is a lot of these companies are struggling to figure out who to partner with,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because the newness of AI, it's not like it has been for the last 10, 15 years. I mean, literally it picked up in the last 12,
That's right.
16 months, right? So it's like, who do they partner with? How do they pick the right vendor, right? How should they design this scope, right? So this has been a bigger challenge. And I've had, quite a few customers and industry friends reaches out to me and says, hey, listen, I'm working with my former vendors, but it seems like they're just trying to learn on the job.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is a. Are you
It's an
seeing similar?
It's very accurate, right? So one, as a leader, you have to be able to distinguish between the hype and the reality, right? And many of us in the industry that are selling to customers, um, we're trying to sell a future state vision that may or may not be possible. AI, just like any type of automation technology, needs to be introduced to all the levels of variations that exist within a business. And so what you may see is a promise of a future based on a small set of use cases and variations. But as you deploy the technology and the learning curve associated with it, that's going to take a very, very, very long time, right? And so here you have executives, C-suite executives, that are being put under pressure by the board because there's huge capital investments that are required to do this. And they're all just basically looking at a CIO saying, all right, where's the money? Like, where's the revenue stream associated with this? And that's the pressure that most of your audience is articulating to you, basically, is that, look, I'm under pressure. Oh, by the way, I have to run all these legacy systems to support the revenue that we have today. And then here's this promise of a future state. There's a promise that was made by our partners to maybe the CEO, maybe the board, maybe the C-suite. And then now the obligation's on me as a CIO, a technology leader, to bring that into fruition. And so then what you can do based on reality versus that expectation that was set by the partner, there's a gap there. And that's the pressure that you're feeling.
Totally, totally. And something else that it's sometimes it's difficult being a practitioner telling a customer that AI may not be the solution for every business problem, right? So I think there's a misconception that anything and everything, hey, can you put AI into this and somehow it's going to fix? Hey, my sales guy's not able to close business. What can we do with AI, right?
It's like that movie, it's probably Windex on everything, right?
Yeah, the big fat Greek wedding, right? Yeah, you're right. AI. So actually, I'm going to take that as AI is the new the Windex.
Windex, yeah.
Yeah. So no, so that's definitely an issue, right? And it's also sometimes it's difficult. I mean, the customers that I have relationship with, it's not a problem because some of them are actually my friends. But there's customers that are new; they made up their mind,
Yes.
and they think that pretty much any scope, if you could just embed AI, somehow it's going to magically make a difference, right? So it's hard to sometimes explain that there are certain prerequisite that needs to be satisfied.
Yes.
Right. And if you remember pre-AI, when we were talking about machine learnings and advanced automation, what was the first most important prerequisite? Was data.
Absolutely.
The availability, the quality, the accessibility, all of that, right?
Yeah.
Security. That hasn't changed. If anything, it has now. It's a far more important now to make AI really function the way it's supposed to,
Yeah.
And to drive value, right? So now this kind of let's transition into the next chapter of this podcast, right? So I want to kind of talk about the hype and hesitation, right? So the hype, we all agree, everybody's talking about this. I mean, if you listen to every CEOs during their quarterly call, they're basically saying AI is their big bet, and
Yes.
this is it, right? So
Yeah.
this is even if you look at the stock market, some of these, some of the stock prices are, if anything, probably even overpriced
Mhm.
because of so much hype went into AI. Even from a geopolitical standpoint, if you watch the president of the United States, they're talking about the next boom in the economy is going to be AI. We're going to basically, this is the new Cold War, right?
Mhm.
Who's going to have the AI supremacy, right, in the global stage? So there's no shortage of hype, right? But then you say to yourself, if this is being such top of mind, such a high priority for every C-suite executive, including in the political realm, why there's hesitation? Everybody's doing something with AI, but if you really pay attention, not everybody's investing into AI wholeheartedly.
No.
And see, this is where lies the challenge. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. I mean, so your more pragmatic companies, um, there was a time in business that you can take a wait and see approach, right? Like you don't want to be the first one in because you're going to experience all the problems and the cost that you're going to have to invest into that to solve problems for other companies. You don't want to be the first one in. But I think with AI, there's a need to be in there. You have to have some skin in the game because there's learnings that need to be captured there. I think there's a change management curve associated with this with employees and customers. And so you have to like introduce that change management in a very bite-sized way, digestible way, and not disruptive way. So yes, I think everyone, it's not hype. It is the future reality. It's going to get even more and more powerful over time. As data is ingested by these technologies, it's going to be able to do things that we can only imagine, right? Like think about the omnipresent ability to access data. And I don't know if I'm coining something for the first time, but the ability to get data from anywhere in the world on this planet and be able to serve that up within milliseconds or seconds it's hugely powerful. Today, most companies live on an island with their own data. And so the ability to leverage all of the technology infrastructure, the edge capabilities, and then bring in that data together and provide in value in some form or fashion is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So yes, hype. Yes, need to temper the enthusiasm a little bit. Need to set some realistic expectations with your leaders, your C-suite, and you need to do it in a bite-sized, digestible way for the organization and for the customers.
Got it. So, on this topic, a couple of things that really caught my attention. So one is this, the overhyping or creating artificial panic that AI is driving significant job losses. I kid you not, I've done a lot of studies. Yale University, there was quite a few, but the Yale University Budget Lab just released about a week ago
Yeah.
a full analysis, a full study that there is absolutely no evidence that directly links to any job losses from AI. So this is completely an artificial panic. Panic like this actually it turns people off. So if you're running a transformation program and you use the word AI, the first thing the team is listening is, "Oh my God, I'm going to be out of a job." You realize? So it's a great news. This is great news for our audience, and I guess for everybody that read this article,
Yeah.
so they could breathe easy. I'm sure at some point it's going to impact some of the jobs. It is possible, but it's not happening the scale that this has been. The media has been pushing, right? So that's one of the good thing. The second thing, I think some of the high profile, fraud that has taken place. One of them that jumps out is Builder AI. Builder.ai. This is the one that was funded by Qatari Fund and Microsoft, and it's several years of investments. I believe it's a 450 million investment. Turns out to be complete fraud. There was no AI. There was basically 700 developers working from India.
Yes.
You heard of that, right?
Yeah.
So things like this gives the industry a bad name, because this is not what AI is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I see is a lot of pretender, very few contenders. And one thing, there's things I love and things that I hate about AI. What I love about AI that if you're a practitioner, if you're decent, in your job, I think the accessibility to these AI tools is going to make you extraordinary talent because you already have the foundation knowledge and that it will be able to complement and accelerate your performance. However, if you're a mediocre talent and you got access to such a powerful tool, you pretty much have no idea what you're prompting. And so if you look at online right now, so I was looking at, there was some studies, I forgot the name of the site, that does assessment of all the articles that are coming out, and they see whether it was written by a human or it was AI generated.
Yeah.
90+% are AI generated.
Correct.
So this adds to further confusion to the buyers, to the companies that are trying to invest in this, because here you are, all of a sudden, you meet someone, they could hardly articulate a clear sentence.
Yeah.
Then you go LinkedIn and their profile, they have these, they write these theses that are written by some PhD students, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like, how in the world did you write that? And it's bad, right? It's bad in a sense because this is how customers the hesitation is coming from.
Yeah.
Companies, they don't know. They're relying on online sources, right? They're saying, "Oh wow, this individual or this company seems like they know what they're talking about," right?
Yeah.
And they're making this investment, and these projects end up failing and doesn't deliver results, right? And one of the best lessons was something personally that one of the a transformation engagement that I was leading, and the CEO whom I became friend, over a period of time. I remember I was sitting with him one day, and he tells me, he goes, "John, I just want to tell you something. Hey man, listen, I like you. Thanks a lot. You've done a pretty good job, but I got to tell you, I don't see the outcome. The outcome
Yes.
was not attached to anything that my business is trying to achieve.
Yeah.
He says you made a lot of things, efficient, a lot of, you can say, automation, you can say, new tools creation, but that was not my expectation. I don't see the business transforming,
Yes.
right? And sadly, that is not a unique situation just to me. As I speak to my industry peers, I hear the same thing, right? That meeting at the in Texas, the CIO summit, I heard exactly the same feedback,
Yeah.
right? So I think so. The biggest challenge is trying to figure out who are the contenders. So what's your thought? How do you think that, your customers, if your customers, a CIO or CEO tells you, Navindra, I'm really struggling with my current vendor base. I really want to do something with AI. I want to make a business impact. How do they go separate the contenders from the pretenders?
Well, look, I mean, I think the startups, the number of startups that are coming into this space that see eventually the potential to disrupt industries, companies within industries, is what's attracting investors to place bets. Essentially, it's like a gamble. And each one of these startup companies are going to tell you that they have their own secret sauce, and yes, it's going to, solve world peace, whatever it is. Your incumbents, the companies that are in the industry today that dominate the industries, they don't need to have that sense of urgency. Um, yes, you could be disrupted, and it's a lot of times it's going to be there's companies that start out AI first, and eventually gain the momentum and gain the momentum. But as an incumbent, you still have the market share and you still own the customer. And it depends on your customer base. Like switching from you to somebody else is an unknown experience. And so, in terms of demystifying and sorting through all of the confusion and hype and successes or failures or perceptions of those things, just stay grounded in sort of the old principles of doing our trade, right? I remember I worked for a very large payroll company in New Jersey, and I launched the first digital transformation initiative, and it included AI, or at least the definition of AI at the time, which included all sorts of things like machine learning and OCI and yeah. And to answer your point about like impact now, um, I saw it firsthand. Like here we are, a human capital management company. Our job is to pay humans. And I'm working on a set of technologies that I can prove out statistically is going to impact humans within that company. We have large call data centers. We have, lots of back office operations folks, and they're doing very highly repetitive, error prone things. And I was able to take like very large, complex use cases, and that's what, 10 years ago? And get to a point where I was like 85% straight through processing without a human in the loop. And then the complex variations would go to a human. And so what we basically had to do is just come to the realization at that company that this will have an impact. The question is, the areas that it impacts, are those strategic areas for the company's long term, or are they more hindrances in terms of the company being able to unleash its value to its customer base, right? And so if you have back office people, if you have call centers that are highly inefficient, that affects your client experience. You make a determination in a healthy way to move away from the lower value type of activities that involve humans and try to get to a state, a place where the human is involved with much more complex interactions that require even a human touch experience associated with it. And then, yes, I mean, I'd be lying to tell you there's not going to be an impact. But if you look at all of the other technology revolutions, people adjusted, people adapted. New generations born into this technology will see potential that, our generation can't see, but we're laying the foundation for that. So embrace it in a practical, pragmatic way. Try to not get caught up with the hype. Those folks have their incentives to hype it. There's a lot of money coming at this thing from all directions. And even if you look at some of the big news items today, and we're in the tech industry, the software industry, there's massive layoffs going on. That's not because AI replaced those jobs. That's because those companies made huge bets on AI, and they have a P&L they have to manage. And the ROI, to our point earlier, has not surfaced yet, has not materialized. And so people are an expense. And if you have assets that are deployed to something in the future, but it hasn't generated the revenue to offset the investment, the only place you can go is to deal with your cost base, which is people and buildings and things like that. And that's why you're seeing a lot of impact. And I think people are just confusing AI as like maybe those jobs were actually replaced. In some cases, yes, like programmers and things, that's going to become a more and more obsolete job over time, but it's not happening like overnight.
Not overnight.
No.
The maturity isn't there.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
Thank you. So I have a slightly some additional takes on this, right? So some of the challenges that I see that is really plaguing AI, I think it's coming from the industry, like a consulting and the service provider. After overhyping the potential of AI, if you look at some of the businesses that are actually investing in it, it's very much into automation type engagement.
Yeah.
So it's becoming almost like an advanced automation version of Blue Prism or Automation Anywhere.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because this was never meant to be an automation accelerator. This is supposed to be a true business transformation tool.
Yes.
Right. I think this is where things are getting lost. That's number one. And the second piece, I think that the lack of qualified companies that could actually do that, deliver outcomes. And the third, I hate to do this, but so we being a practitioner, we're kind of in a bind. In one hand, you want to do the right thing by your customer, but there's only so much coaching you could do without coming across by the customer as, oh, why are you telling me what to do?
Yes.
So you have to be in a mode and saying, Mr. Customer, what would you like to do?
Yes.
You have to, right? You don't have a choice. That's unless the customer happens to be your friend, then we could give the. I cannot tell you how many times I would sit in a conference table and engaging in a conversation and a scoping of an end state transformation objective. And as I'm listening to what the scope is, it starts with a very big, ambitious business objective.
Yes.
Drive revenue, increase new market share, identify new customer base, ability to access to information with actionable insight, which is brilliant. But then you look at the scope slowly kind of like going down. It's going into, automating their access to data, building up a data lake, consolidating various applications, and migrating database X to database Z, cloud migration, doing some patchwork from network security. And then, so you're kind of looking and saying, my God, this is turning into an IT transformation.
Yes.
And I kid you not, I can tell you at least probably maybe 3 or 4 times just the last couple of years alone where a customer at the end of the project says, wait a second, what happened to this business transformation? Now, how do you tell the customer, Mr. Customer, you picked it? All right.
Well, I mean,
how do you do that?
I think we, as practitioners, manage our relationships very carefully, right? Like, look,
it's a balancing act, right?
It's a balancing act, right? Like, so you and I know very well that in our world, right, trust is the number one currency. Correct. And so in some cases, you are afforded the opportunity to continue with relationships, multiple companies, and there's a trust that's been established, and they know that when you tell them something, that you have not only your interest in mind, but their interest in mind. Like, it has to be win-win. So what makes it difficult for customers is when they don't have a prior relationship with a partner or a person.
Correct.
And then they have to believe the words on the piece of paper, the script that person is being told to say by their company.
Correct.
And the reality too is like what I would tell my customers, because I want to keep my customers look, that's just a name for a human. These are lifelong potential relationships that we're forming, right? And I don't want to like say something or do something that's going to ruin that, right? And so certainly we have to ground them in reality as well. And so you sell on the potential, you sell on the vision. The change and impact associated with it is something that companies need to be mindful of. The level of complexity that these AI solutions and technologies have not bumped into yet will surface, and we call that scope creep. But
Correct.
the reality is when you have a technology that is so new and is not pervasively deployed, you don't know what all of the potential breakage points and areas are going to be. And so you be upfront with your customer. A lot of times when I was the customer and I did not have partners that I could look them in the eye and be like, come on, like seriously, is this like real? The ones that I had trust with would tell me, look, of course there's potential, but it's not an easy journey. The ones that said, no, it's going to be perfectly fine, and then they run into this first problem, my immediate gut reaction is like, these people are trying to like extract more money out of me. They found a way to scope creep this thing.
Correct.
And to make more money off of me. And nobody wants to be in that sort of transactional type of relationship with anyone or any company. And so, look, I mean, my advice to those that abide by a certain level of principles, you got to be real. You got to be honest. You got to. These are relationships. You're going to move from one company to the next. You're going to bump into the same customers, the same people, and they're going to remember how you sold it to them last time, and if you're believable or not, and if somebody you can trust. Look, as a CIO, I took my partners with me from company to company. Not everybody in that company I could trust, but the ones I found that I could trust and help me be successful, I will help them be successful.
Of course.
And so you have to be mindful as a practitioner, as somebody in this industry, that when you're having these conversations with customers, there's a karma associated with it potentially down the road. So be real.
Okay. That's very good advice. And I like this, the way you said, don't be transactional. I think this is one of the most powerful advice, for anybody out there, especially service providers, that if the goal is to close a sale and not the outcome for the customer, that's the last time you'll ever do business in that company.
Exactly. And think about all the walls that customers put up but what they're saying to you, I can't trust you.
Correct.
There's too many of you, and I don't know who's telling me the truth.
Correct.
So there's all these walls that are put up as a result of that. And so you find that when you establish that rapport and trust with somebody and you're just real with them, those walls are there, but they're just not as insurmountable to climb.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm excited. This is the last part. This is where we talk about potential solutions, right? I would like our viewers to be able to, get some powerful takeaway that they can go apply tomorrow. What can you tell, our audience as a takeaway, 2-3 things that they should be doing and they haven't? So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So certainly, I think about, and I'd love to take this down a little bit more of an esoteric path. I think about the impact that this set of technologies will have on future generations, my children. Like, so we're in this industry. We have to show up every day. We have to help build a future. But then that there's going to be areas of disruption. And so advice that I give to my own kids, quite frankly, is like, go play in that space where that requires human to human level trust and interaction. Like, we live in a world of business to business sales, and all things being equal, all these products that are showing up in front of customers, they're very much in the same neighborhood in terms of capability. Some are further along and some are further behind. Okay, so that's just basically table stakes. Okay, how am I going to make a multi-million-dollar purchase or decision? It's going to be based on the human that's across from me. It's not going to be the AI chatbot telling me that I should do this. I mean,
Correct.
Of course, we're going to do our due diligence around the technology, and the chatbot's going to tell us this one is good and this one's bad for us, right? But it's going to come back to the human element. And so pick those places in society that would require that human interaction, and you'll have a better chance of being able to survive the other side of this. Um, Now, personally speaking, I mean, that's just one advice, but personally speaking, what I wrestle with, and this is where, like, we've talked about my meditation practice in the past. I think about the intelligence that created us, right? So, whatever you want to call it, the universe, the table, you want to call it God, whatever it is, you can't dismiss the fact that there's a high level of intelligence that created us. If you look at the body as a whole, it's hugely complex. You look at it at a submolecular level, it's hugely complex. You look at the universe and you're like, how the heck do all of these things coexist and not crash into each other? There's an intelligence behind that, whatever you want to call it. And for the most part, it's not an absolute statement, but most humans worship that intelligence. We respect that intelligence. We want to be closer to that intelligence. Okay, so now as humans, we're developing intelligence. We're developing life it's like a Frankenstein sort of project. It's gonna have its own level of consciousness. And I'm asking myself, is what we create as humans, are we gonna be their gods? Are they gonna worship us? I don't know. The jury's out on that, man. So, yeah, these are the things I'm thinking about. I mean, there's obviously a long list of things you can go to ChatGPT and find about, but these are the things that I personally think about.
Wow,
so.
That's profound. Yes, something definitely thought-provoking, right? So, I don't know how I can top that, but I got a couple of ideas that I'd like to pass.
Sure.
One of the things that I see is a issue that AI is a business transformation tool.
Yes.
And if it is not being led by the business, if the individual or the group that is implementing the outcome does not have a direct reporting line to the office of the CEO, it will face the same fate as the chief digital officer role. If you remember, a few years back, everybody was talking about chief digital officer, how they will digitize and transform organization.
Mhm.
They failed spectacularly. The reason why that happened, because most of the CDOs were brought in, they were reporting to the CIO. That right off the bat, there's a conflict of interest, right? Because if you're looking at holistically and transform an organization, it's not just technology; it's the technology, business, customer, employee, the entire business life cycle, right?
Yes.
Every endpoint that it touches. So I think that was a huge mistake. There has been, you can Google, there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of different write-ups about how the CDO program has failed, why digital transformation fails. It's like $1 trillion mystery, such big losses. And I think AI is going to face the same fate if it doesn't learn the lesson from what has transpired with the digital transformation engagements, right? Just number one. The second piece is leadership. Whoever is going to lead the AI for your organization, it has to be an empowered leadership, meaning do not come. The best way you know how sincere a company is and what is the likelihood of success, you cannot have somebody with the ambiguous title like head of AI and expect that person to go talk to every different business units and customers and be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
This has to be an empowered role with the appropriate decision rights and authority to be able to execute. You're basically transforming the next generation or next iteration of business. So you have to treat it like that. This is how you can drive the right outcome, right? And the third piece, I compare AI to plastic surgery.
Mhm.
And it's like this, if you go to a plastic surgery, and there's a TV show, I think it's called Botched or something.
Yeah.
And you see horror stories. People spend, they try to get some, I don't know where they got the coupon. They went to some doctor's office on a Friday, and then it came up and their face looked like something from an alien ship, right? And this is how AI should be, right? Because AI is a powerful transformational tool.
It is.
And it's not cheap. If you want a good outcome, truly drive business transformation, it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
And if you want cheap, it's not going to be good. So don't complain later, right? I think a lot of companies are making a mistake that where you have an existing pool of vendors, they're struggling to do the basic, like keeping your IT services properly. and now you're going to the same vendor asking them to do your AI, and then you're unhappy when the outcome isn't there. What did you expect? Right. So I think I want to leave with that,
Yeah.
that, if you want AI to truly drive measurable business outcome, you have to truly invest in it with the right kind of people, right kind of tool, and to drive the right kind of outcome.
So certainly, yes, the players that you have involved need to be the right players for your company, by the way,
Absolutely.
because not every player is the player for your company. This comes down more to the art than the science of technology. Like, yes, today it's AI, and tomorrow quantum computing is right around the corner, by the way. Um, okay, so as let's say a chief digital transformation officer comes in. Um, the question is, how did they come in? So did they come in because the C-suite acknowledged that they needed this individual, and they acknowledged that they need to change, and so they're bringing in somebody that they're going to give the air cover and support to, and this person's going to come and assemble a plan on how to, you know, uh, realize the vision of the C-suite or the CEO or the board. Okay, or is this a bunch of technologists that are trying to maintain relevancy? And they
Well said.
see what's coming around the corner and they're like, this thing I'm doing is going to become obsolete. Let me go start doing some skunk work stuff and try to do it from a bottom up grassroots sort of approach, right? Um, you're gonna run into problems in both directions, by the way. The grassroots one is going to be this amazing thing that you build and nobody uses, right? Because you're not doing the fundamentals, or if you have the chief digital officer come in and they're like, I have all the answers to everything, nobody's going to listen to them. The way that you bring the business with you on this journey is you bring them in the boat with you. You have to have your stakeholders. They're all going to be at different levels of acceptance related to this. Like, I'll give you an example back to the payroll company. I had business presidents telling me, like, Navindra, let me just see if I got this straight. So you're telling me that I'm going to achieve 85% straight through processing. So I don't need 85% of my people? And I'm like, no, I'm not saying that, but maybe not. You don't need 30%. He's like, wait a minute. So my power in this organization has to do with the number of people I have, the size of
Wow.
my budget.
Wow.
And he's like, you're an immediate threat to me. But I had a relationship with the guy where he could tell me that.
Exactly.
I'm like, his name was John. I was like, John. I was like, oh man, like, you make a good point. I didn't think about your perspective. I thought only about cool technology. Look how great it's going to be. My point is you got to bring these stakeholders along for the ride. You have to find how receptive and how courageous they are. Every single business unit executive is its stability and risk mitigation first. Don't break the revenue stream that you have going on. And then you have to be able to now adjust and adapt to the new thing in a way that doesn't break what you have, but adds incremental value. And that's a change curve. And there's different levels of acceptance related to that within a single company.
Correct.
Multiple business presidents will tell you different things, but you got to bring them along for the ride. And that's what the CEO is looking for. Look, the people that know every single binary and hex associated with AI are not the ones that are going to be doing the change part related to organizations. They don't need to be the smart. And I would actually hope they're not the smartest guy in the room, because what I've learned too is you got to get to the people that do the work. Get out from the in-between management layers that translate what they believe the work is. Get down to the people that are actually doing it. And that's where you're going to see what's really possible versus not possible. So even as you bring stakeholders on board with you, you also have to be able to flex at the highest level to the lowest level within these organizations and bring those folks on board with you too. And I had to go through that in my prior life. And so did I do it perfectly out the gate? No, I had to learn some of this stuff. And thankfully I learned some of this at my pharmaceutical experiences. There's a change management. There's a art associated with this. And that's how you are going to be able to get a job and keep a job as anyone that's trying to do this transformation in an organization.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. And I enjoyed our conversation, and I think there is a lot to talk about. There's a lot of exciting thing happening,
Oh
right?
man, we got a lot to talk about,
And
John.
I hope you're going to come back again and do more of these.
I don't know. I think we're gonna run out of time because I got so much I want to talk about with you.
No problem, pal. Listen, it's a pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And I hope you found it insightful. And we look forward to bringing you a lot more insightful and informative episodes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.